to get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, don't tell them what to say. Tinfoil haters are here to save the day. To get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show.
Welcome back to Tinfoil Haters. How are all you viral idols doing? No Cindy today. She is taking a much-needed break. She has just put all her heart and soul into making content for you plebeians, and so she is exhausted and needs to get some fucking sleep. So me and Sammy are going to be holding it down. Well, we got an insane show. This is, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Jacobo Grinberg. I don't know how many of you have heard this story. If you heard this story already, if you're familiar with it, let me know in the chat, because this is an underground one. This is one that doesn't come up very often, at least not nowadays. But this might be the most culturally significant, or maybe insignificant, and it should have been significant. Either way, strangest missing persons case of all time, of modern history, modern police work. And again, there is a conspiracy angle and some government stuff to it, which is why this is even here. But this is going to be a very weird show. But that being said, I couldn't do this without my lovely partner in crime, Sammy 3P. Tell the people who are and what you do.
I'm Sammy 3P, and I'm awake. But we are two halves of, well, now thirds of Tinfoil Haters. But I am a Detroit-based musician, and sometimes I fall asleep on camera.
Sometimes, frequently. As long as it's not my show, we're good.
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking with you, brother. This is gonna be a good one, man. I'm glad to have you here. And you're playing the role of Sunny today because due to your hectic work schedule, you didn't really get to do a whole lot of research into this. So you're gonna be learning along with everybody.
Yeah, normally I have like time to, unless it's like a subject that I'm pretty up to date on. But yeah, no, this one usually, I like to get my research in, and I'm going in blind on this one, so
Which is why you're wearing glasses today.
Well, I wear glasses all the time. There's different ones.
Oh, well, you said going in blind. I guess that's true. You're right. You do wear glasses. I noticed that these ones were different. These ones have much more of a musician look to them.
Yeah, I don't know. They're comfortable.
No, I like them. I do. I think they look good. You should wear more. Before we get into it, Procedural came in with a 2-banger. Sometimes I use my tinfoil hat for cooking. That sounds like unsanitary. Don't put stuff on your head and then use it to cook. That's a terrible idea. That being said, I do appreciate the comment. Thank you very much. This clip is for you.
I know you've done absolutely nothing productive today, but who gives a shit? You're just a weird little gay boy doing the best you can, and I'm proud of you for making it this far in life as a gay little weirdo. Keep shining.
Shinji fucking sucks. Alrighty, let's see who we got in this bitch. Fractal Mage in the house. Piranha Pout is here. I'd be the EB. Valiant Goat. We got Gal Carrymon. How you doing, Gal Carrymon? Felsteph. We got Dax, our best mod in the whole damn land. Shout out. Zalozy is here. Bridget, nice to see you. I feel like it's been a midget. Been a minute. I mixed minute
been a
and
minute.
Bridget, and I said a slur. One of my favorite
It's been a
slurs.
small person.
Bio T Wolf's up in this bitch. What up, Bio T Wolf? How you doing, homie? Who else we got? Fallow Green Skin is here. Jake motherfucking Martin, who has not heard of this one. It's crazy when there's like a story that we cover that Jake's never heard of.
Yes.
We got Lewis Anonymous saying me, y'all making meatloaf. I love me a good meatloaf. Pictures in the food porn part of the Discord, if that's going to be the case. Johnny Boy is here. What is up, Johnny? Sammy, of course, be talking to you guys in the comment section. Let's see. Who else we got? I know there's going to be more of you up in this bitch. Actually, that might... No. True Aztec Warrior is here. Ultra Tabletop RPG. Not today. No Cindy today. She is taking the night off. She will be back. Don't worry. Cindy she needed some rest. She messaged me like 3 hours for the show. She's like, Leon, I need to sleep. I can't. I haven't slept. I'm dying. And I was like, woman, get some fucking rest. I'm hearing an echo again, Sam. You might want to mute and unmute or something, see if it goes away. But yeah, no Cindy, but she will be back. I promise, y'all. We got Grave up in this bitch. What is going on, Grave? Grimlock is here. I think that might be everyone. Yes. So shout out to all you absolute legends that are here. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about Dr. Jacobo Grinberg, because he was I guess you call him a neuroscientist, but his field of study was all over the place, and he's been listed, like, the degrees of what people consider him vary. Some people consider him to be a bit of a quack. Some people consider him one of the great, like, pioneers of consciousness study, which he was. Even if he was a quack, mind you, you can't deny he was a pioneer in the consciousness studies, which is what this first article is talking about. So before we get into any of the conspiratorial aspects of what happened, of this disappearance, of this story, we need to lay the groundwork for who he was and what his work entailed. Dr. Jacobo Grinberg, a pioneer of consciousness studies. Maybe you've already heard or read about the Mexican neuroscientist, Dr. Jacobo Grinberg, who was a pioneer in the study of consciousness. He studied psychology at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Now, this should sound familiar. This particular university should sound familiar. Can you put a finger on what? The National Autonomous University of Mexico?
Oh, isn't that the one that has like the symbiote?
Close.
No, that's the other thing. The I'll get it. The Boosh or the
close. You're on the right track.
What the hell is the sphere? The sphere, the fucking sphere thing.
Yeah, the Boogosphere.
The Boogosphere. That's what it is.
Yeah, the where the Boogosphere is currently being held is where is where he got many of his credentials, and later on did a lot of his work from the 70s to the 90s. So just fun little callback to a very recent episode. He then traveled to New York in 1970 to study psychophysiology at the Brain Research Institute, where he obtained a PhD focused on the electrophysiological effects of geometric stimuli on the human brain. Upon his return to Mexico, he founded a psychophysiology laboratory at Universidad Anahuac. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. In the late 70s. In the late 70s, he set up another similar laboratory at UNAM. So again, the National Autonomous University of Mexico. In 1987, he founded the National Institute for the Study of Consciousness, INPEC, funded by UNAM and the National Council of Science and Technology. So he's, again, this guy ain't a slouch. He ain't a quack. He wrote over 50 books. His papers are peer-reviewed. These are legitimate scientific theories, and many of them have tests. Testing was done. Unfortunately, several of his theories also couldn't be tested, which was a large bit. It was a bit of contention amongst his peers. So he's a polarizing figure amongst the academia. Just to put it bluntly, he is a polarizing figure in academia amongst his peers. Some hold him with reverence, some do not. Some think that there was maybe some merit to his work, but what makes him a bit different is that I just listed a bunch of scientific credentials and things like that. He was also very into shamanism and mysticism and how you could use those sorts of teachings that he did believe in to further advance science.
Huh. Seems like a hell of a conversation.
So yeah, very interesting individual. So let's break down what his actual theory was, the synergic theory. Now, I won't lie to you guys. This is in incredibly dense stuff. I mean, he worked on another level. A solid 3 hours of my research today for this particular show. This must have been 6 or 7 hours of just topic prep. At least 3 of those hours was me just trying to understand his theory. It gets into the weeds. In fact, if I was to show you guys, so obviously I went through a bunch of academic papers and stuff like that. But if we were to, so I do a lot of conversing with ChatGPT. Again, obviously, don't take everything what it says with a grain of thought. You take everything it says with a grain of salt. You fact check it against other resources, stuff like that. But I would like to show you guys, just from the AI perspective, this was the beginning of my interaction with ChatGPT. I'm gonna show you guys how long it'll take to scroll before we get to the part where we actually start talking about the conspiracy aspects. Notice that we're still going. Still going. Yep, there's some of his research. Here's even more of his research. And here is me and the ChatGPT are about to start breaking down his research and making sure I understand it. There's some stuff I highlighted that I want to make sure to get to on the show. This is all just his research. Again, we're not into the conspiracy aspect whatsoever. Still going. Still going. Here, let's speed up a bit. Still more of his research. Still all of his research. More of his theories. Let's see. Yep. This is still more of his theories. Let's keep going. Finally. So right here, at this point, is where the research aspect stopped, where I finally had a grasp on his research. So, and we moved on to the shamanism and whatnot. So all of this is just the science and stuff behind everything he was theorizing.
Damn.
So when I say this guy was not a quack, I want to make it perfectly clear. Like, these are, again, brainwave tests and scans. His a lot of his work hinged on, I don't want to say telekinesis, though that's how it's been described by others. So yeah, just that should lay a proper groundwork for you guys. IB to EB came in, gifted awards of paradise, gifted membership. Shout out, you absolute legend. I will give you a new clip, fresh off the presses, just like that first one, brand new, never before seen unless you were at this event live.
You racist motherfuckers! I didn't know how to bring you back.
Look at this nigga's face. Look at his face. Look at his fucking face.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
There you go. Y'all getting them new hotness, the new fresh clips today. Sammy, if I could ask you, because I left something over in the corner that I need to grab, vent with the chat, see what they are saying. In response to them, I'll be right back. And we'll continue.
Yeah, no problem. I got it.
Thank you.
Now you guys are stuck with me. Yeah. Let's see. Why am I dressed like Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems? It's just they're just new frames, dude. Like, don't overthink it. I'm not a bookie.
There we go.
Yep. Oh, Sebrew. Yes, I am awake. For now. Give it time, my friend. Give it time.
Alrighty, I'm back. I want to scroll up, see what people were saying about his work, and then we will get into what his actual theory was, because his theory was quite insane. All right.
It had to do with telepathy, did it not?
What?
Wasn't he, from the basics that I got, like, like I said, I did very minute research, but it had to do with telepathy, did it not? Like,
Well, sort of. So it's there was an aspect to it of telepathy, but again, it wasn't telepathy in the way that, like, when we think of the X-Men and mutants and stuff like that. So here was his theory. So reality as we know it is not static. It would and wouldn't exist if it weren't for human consciousness. So, and what that means is, obviously, matter, physical objects, atoms, all that would exist regardless. Because obviously that existed for billions of years prior to humans, right? Prior to humans. There's so trees would be real, rocks, water, stuff like that. However, his theory was that the universe itself exudes effectively an invisible energy field that are that the human consciousness is linked to. And so that's where we get what is perceived reality. Because until we perceive the physical reality of the universe, it effectively doesn't have there's nothing to perceive without the consciousness. So the simple way of stating this is that when we as humans look at reality, we look at it as if we're observing reality. And when in all reality, which is a weird way to say that, didn't mean to do that, we are not observing reality. We are a constant part of reality, and our brains lack the ability, as they currently stand, to look at ourselves within the reality mainframe. So the human consciousness taps in to this energy field that is exuded by the universe, and that only once the human consciousness affects something does it actually have a is it actually have some sort of meaning. Man, I understand it, but it's such a difficult thing to word. But basically, the short version: human brains are if reality is a construct, think a matrix or think a like a simulation theory. The people within the simulation aren't aware of the simulation, so there is an in between level. You've got you know you've got the macro, you got the energy field, which is the intermediary, which is what we're tapping into, but we're unaware of, and there's something beyond that. And all of his study was about proving that the brain is interacting with this intermediary energy field that is collective consciousness.
Okie dokie. I get what you're saying, but it was like, damn, that's
Yeah.
some hard shit to prove.
So this is one of the things that I did with ChatGPT, just to break down whether or not I understood it. So I asked it, let's pose a hypothetical. ChatGPT says, all right, go for it. Lay out the hypothetical, exactly what you want. We'll stress test it against Grinberg's framework step by step. I ask, you're familiar with the concept of a golem, correct? It says, yes, absolutely. A golem is a figure from Jewish folklore, artificial being made from inanimate matter, usually clay or earth, animated through non-biological means, rituals, symbols, words, instructions, rather than through life or evolution. So the point is, we all know what a golem is.
Mm.
So I said, would there be no experience of reality by the golem, even if it was to pick up a rock or wade into water, due to its inability to access this theoretical energy field that makes up the universe? This is an excellent hypothetical, and you're aiming right at the pressure point of Grinberg's model. Let's answer it cleanly without hand waving. Short answer first, then reasoning. In Grinberg's framework, yes, the golem would interact with matter, but would have no experience of reality unless it possessed the specific capacity to couple with the information field. So again, to Ginsburg, reality is something to be interfaced with via human consciousness. Now let's unpack why the answer follows logically where the model strains. So step one, in Jacobo Grinberg's view, experience is not guaranteed by interaction. A thing can be pushed by matter, obey physical laws, but still have zero phenomenology. Your golem picks up a rock. That's a force exchange. It wades into water, displacement, drag. It receives signals, pressure, temperature. That's physical input. None of this automatically produces experience. So what creates experience in Grinberg's model? A physical interface, brain or equivalent structure, access to the information field, coherent integration between the two. If any one of these is missing, no experience. The golem, as you defined, has a body, but it doesn't have field access, and therefore it doesn't access the integration between the body and the field. So it behaves, but it does not feel. Why behavior does not equal experience, because this is an important distinction. A golem could avoid obstacles, react to heat, speak words about pain, even describe water as cold, and yet there is no someone for whom the water is cold. From Grinberg's view, From Grinberg's view, the golem is a closed causal loop. Inputs are internal state change. So inputs to internal state changes to outputs. No coupling to the field, no phenomenology. This is philosophically similar to philosophical zombies, the Chinese room argument. Why the rock and the water still exist for us? The rock and the water are structured matter in the informational field. They are actualized into experience by our consciousness. So water, rocks, again, all matter. It all still physically exists, even though there's no humans. But because there's no consciousness to experience it, it can never be actualized as it can never be actualized. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now changes to the field structure physically. The golem's interaction changes the field structure physically, but does not generate an internal lived world. So the water is wet for us. The water is merely a state of transition for the golem. Where this becomes uncomfortable and important. Your question exposes a critical vulnerability. What exactly grants access to the field? Grinberg never gave a measurable criterion, a clear threshold, or a falsifiable test, which opens the door to arbitrary exclusions. Humans, yes, golems, and that's when we get into the weirdness of his theory, is that because something like this is untestable. Now, it actually isn't fully untestable. In fact, he was in the process of doing what could have possibly been a scientifically game-changing test at the global scale prior to him going missing. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. So let's talk about his small tests first. So what he would do, and this is within the room of the telekinesis that we were talking about earlier, he would get two people in a room, two people who don't know each other, two test subjects, no idea this is the first time meeting. He'd put them in a room together. He would have them meditate for several hours. Then he would separate them, hook them all up to brainwave, electrodes and all this fucking fancy ass equipment, at least fancy by 70s and 80s standards. And he would have one person sit there and just be in a state of being, just chilling. He would have the other person actively concentrate on something, like whether it be a memory, whether it be an idea, whether it be a thought. The point is, one person would concentrate on something, and then he would test if both parties were picking up on what just the one party was thinking about. And he would do this via, brainwave fluctuations and stuff like that. And it was actually really successful. It was these tests. Now, they were done on such a small scale, only, two subjects at a time, things like that. So a lot of, scientists were saying that this is inconclusive because we don't have a large group that's working with. But the fact of the matter is, these were successful tests. He would have them meditate together for hours. He would separate them. He'd hook them all up. One person would be thinking about, like Jake Martin says, boobs. But really, both parties would be thinking of boobs, and the one thought would be effectively forcing the thought on another. And the instruments they were using to measure the brain activity would show that the activating parts of the brain were happening to both parties, even though only one party was the one generating the thought. You got anything?
I was just listening intently. No, well, I mean, that's it. Well, are they interacting with each other? Or is one person just thinking and not saying?
No, they are physically separated in different rooms, each hooked up to equipment.
All right, because I was like, because they were like, hey, concentrate on this. If you're focusing on one thing, context clues, people will be able to
they were physically separated, different rooms, and only one individual was given instruction.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've heard weirder things.
So let's take this back now to the consciousness level. Real quick, I want to hit some of these comments. There were some good ones. Consciousness as a fundamental field makes sense to me. Like conceptualization itself is primary to existence, kind of an elegant solution to an infinitely vast, possibly infinite old universe. Well, you're not wrong. And we're going to get into the universal aspect of this because that's where I'm going next. Sounds more in line with this stuff. Wait, certain theories and multiple universes theory. We literally create a new world reality with every choice we make. Okay, that's actually completely separate than what we're talking about. I do know what you're referring to, and actually, I do want to do an episode on like multiverse theory and stuff like that. But this is different. This is mostly just about consciousness and the creation of physical reality or the integration, I should say, with physical reality as it is now. Let's see. We got psionics before GTA 6. So this is where his theories and studies start to get strange. Sammy, you've seen The Matrix.
I have.
How does The Matrix work?
It's a network of, you know, all the people are connected into it. But it's basically a scheme to power the machines, you know, because they're using
right, but the Matrix itself. What is the Matrix?
It's a computer simulation that
okay, there you go. Perfect. You got it.
Being.
A computer simulation. What makes Neo special?
He could manipulate the Matrix.
Bingo! He can manipulate the Matrix. His consciousness could effectively override the default code of the universe in the Matrix, right?
Yes.
This was Grinberg's theory back in the 70s. That this is how the actual universe worked, is that if the human brain were able to effectively eclipse the void and see that we are within a construct, and we could become our own universal code breakers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't see why some people would find that to be dangerous. Okay.
So,
and he
disappeared,
you say?
He would disappear. This is about 20 years prior to his disappearance. He's formulating this theory, but we're still ways off from the disappearance. But now, where do you think he got this idea from?
I'm just gonna go with because he studied shamanism.
Bingo, bango, bongo. So let's bring into play probably the most important character in this story besides Grinberg himself, Pachita, Mexico's most powerful shaman. Now, this woman, very interesting study. There's not a lot of information out there about her, by the way. There's not. There's very little information out there about her. And we will get into why. Some say because she was an absolute fraud. Some say because she was real. Others say because nobody gave a fuck about her fringe, loony, shamanistic ways in 1950s through 70s fucking Mexico. So, Barbara Guerrero, known as Pachita, is considered the most powerful shaman in Mexico, despite not being part of an indigenous culture. Her healing gift is attributed to the spirit of Cuauhtémoc, the last Tlaloc, and her story is equally intriguing. Pachita grew up in impoverished conditions in Chihuahua under the guardianship of a man named Charles, who taught her healing techniques and the observation of the stars. In addition to her career as a healer, Pachita participated in the Mexican Revolution. Her fame skyrocketed in the 70s due to mystical surgeries she performed. During these surgeries, Pachita supposedly removed damaged organs with an old knife and then materialized new organs through a miracle, closing wounds with just her hands, leaving no trace of her surgery.
Uh-huh.
Now, that sounds fucking crazy.
It sounds like, you know, they always showed it's like bullshit, like the psychic surgeries and where, you know, you ever see those where, you know, where the person goes in with their hands and it's all
like some Chris Angel shit.
Yeah, but I mean, there's people who seek these healers out, and you know, a lot of them are debunked very quickly. But yeah,
correct.
I've
there
seen
is
videos.
one. I could only find one instance, a single instance of one of her healings being debunked.
Oh, okay.
So here's what makes Grinberg an interesting character. So he was fascinated with Pachita. He met her by complete accident. So Grinberg met Pachita because at the time president of Mexico, his wife, the president of Mexico's wife, knew Pachita, because of the indigenous roots that she had or whatever, and invited Grinberg, who at this point has no concept of shamanism. He's not integrated anything like that into his work. He is fully hard neuroscience. She invites Dr. Grinberg to an engagement where Pachita will be, and they meet each other, and Grinberg becomes infatuated with her. Not like a sexual sense or anything like that, not like a romantic thing, just he's infatuated with her healing powers and whatnot. And so he begins to study her, and he studies her a lot. And he is this doctor, this man of science and medicine, who has been doing everything by the book up to this point, cannot for the life of him disprove anything, to the point where he believes full stop everything she's doing is real. She is accessing her brain, her consciousness is accessing that extraplanar portion of the consciousness field and effectively rewriting code. And that's why she's able to do all this shit, just generate new organs to replace for people. And what makes this story even crazier, by the way, this isn't theory and stuff, by the way, guys. Obviously we don't know if generating organs and whatnot's real, but all the rest of this is her clients. Many of her clients were medical practitioners. They were actual doctors that had ailments and whatnot that they couldn't solve, the other doctors couldn't solve. Very actually like Doctor Strange style, like the comic book. He needs mysticism to end up curing him because medical science can't do it, right?
Right.
So that's what's happening here. Is there's these other doctors and people of note, again, politicians. This is the wife of the president of Mexico knew her, are the ones seeking her help. So now, obviously, we could jump to the idea. Well, again, this is probably fraud. She's a real good fraudster, right? Real good fraudster. A lot of people have scammed wealthy, famous individuals. I mean, we can do an entire episode on the Count of Saint Germain, for example. How many cult leaders are there? Fraud is rampant. Just go to Minnesota. But I want to pull up a couple little interesting pieces here. So we got Salvador Roquette. Now, by the way, the reason people consider Grinberg fringe and a bit of a wackadoo only happened after his encounters with Pachita and him starting to buy into everything that she was selling. We got Salvador Roquette here. Now, Salvador Roquette, Dr. Salvador Roquette, was a Mexican pioneer in psychedelic psychotherapy. He began his medical career in the public field of health and later became a psychiatrist. He started to use mind-altering substances as an adjunct to psychotherapy in 1967. Psychedelic sessions lasted about 8 years and included patients taking substances such as LSD, ketamine, psilocybin mushrooms, and aloloqui seeds, morning glory seeds, such as Rivia, Cambusa, Violesca, all this shit. Salvador was widely acclaimed for developing a series of innovative therapeutic methods for using these substances, yet in today's world of psychedelic therapy, psychotherapy, he is relatively unknown. So this is his story. Now, the story doesn't really matter. I would highly recommend you guys look into this guy. Very fascinating. But he's another Mexican doctor who he was doing, frankly, what a lot of scientists are doing now, and frankly, what the U.S. government was doing around the same time, but under much less benign circumstances, using psychedelics to, as a healing method. Until he was thrown in prison in the 70s, when Mexico's laws heavily changed and outlawed the use of psychedelics at all. He was thrown in jail for 5 months before various medical organizations and political organizations around the world petitioned the Mexican government to release him because he was a doctor. He was a man of science. And the Mexican government didn't listen. They released him from jail/prison after about 5 months. But he did not do anything with psychedelics afterwards, just for fear of going back to prison, his work not being taken seriously, stuff like that. He's basically settled down to be a regular psychiatrist. So, the reason I bring this up, again, he is obviously a He was not fringed. He was a regular medical doctor. He held high up positions at multiple universities. He was on boards of directors. This dude is a legitimate fucking doctor.
That's crazy.
What he said about Pachita, because he had also spent extended time with her, he does not. His basic, what he came to conclude was that he has no idea what she is doing or how she is doing it, but he believes she's doing it, or at the very least doesn't believe that it's a scam.
Okay, yeah. So her motives are noble. She doesn't know, she's not doing. She doesn't think that she's scamming people.
Right.
She
Yeah.
believes
So
in what she's doing.
at the very least, what he could say is, I don't know how she's doing this. I am seeing results. This isn't fraud. He didn't jump to she's got otherworldly powers. He didn't jump to like she can regrow organs and whatnot. So he doesn't buy into it as much as Grinberg, but he did come to the scientific, I guess we can call that conclusion, that something here isn't adding up, yet we are getting results. So now let's move on to our next person of interest, Fernando Benitez.
Well, also you got some supers.
Yeah, I will hit the supers right after we get through these people of interest. Crew, keep sending them by all means. Thank you so much. Fernando Benitez. Now, Fernando Benitez, he's not a scientist. He is not a scientist at all. He's a journalist. In fact, he was arguably the most prolific and culturally important cultural journalist. That was what he was. He was a cultural journalist in the history of Mexico. So here we have his memoriam from when he passed away. He passed away the year 2000. He was born in 1910. So I just want to read a couple excerpts from this to show how the people held this journalist in regard. Above all, a writer and journalist, he was the pioneer of cultural journalism in our country, a discoverer and champion of talents, editor, teacher to several generations of journalists, a novelist, a self-taught historian, and an anthropologist. His great achievement was surrounding himself with experienced collaborators like Vicente Rojo, Jose Emilio Pacheco. Again, guys, I ain't a fucking Mexican. I'm going to butcher some of this shit. His byword was a commitment to excellence and truth. By that time, Benitez had not only given many writers access to general public, he had also vindicated the value of journalism and literature. Benitez was a professor of journalism at UNAM, again, the Autonomous University of Mexico. Coming punctually to class for 30 years. He was the professor of journalism at the same institution where Grinberg taught, where the Boogosphere is, for 30 years. The point is, this guy also, not some fucking wackadoo Weekly World News journalist. He is a real, serious, legitimate journalist. He studied and did interviews with Pachita. He came to the same conclusion as Dr. Salvador there, which is, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I can certainly say, as someone who has uncovered ungodly amounts of fraud in my career as a journalist, this doesn't meet any of the hallmark criteria for fraud.
That's wild.
I got lost in this. So, quick recap what we've covered so far, and then I'll get to those super chats. We have a doctor who he goes into neuroscience. And by the way, the reason he goes into neuroscience is because his mom died of a brain tumor when he was young. So he got really interested in the human brain. So you got this guy that goes into neuroscience, doing everything by the book, gets his PhD. He is on the road to becoming the most notable neuroscientist in certainly in Mexican history, if not in just world history up to that point. Because this is the 70s. This is just now a burgeoning field. He meets up with this shaman, and then his concept of how reality works is completely altered by this shaman, and he starts trying to find ways to integrate this new way of shamanistic thinking into the existing scientific models. And then we have the shaman herself, which defies all laws of physics, and other scientists and reputable journalists back up that it, at the very least, doesn't seem fraudulent.
Yeah.
So that's the story so far. Real life Fate Monkey for a 5-banger. Might want to take a look at the weather when you get a chance for the weekend. Huh? Might want to take a look at the weather when you get a chance for the weekend. Why? Am I missing something? Sammy, you got any idea what we're talking about?
I have no idea. We don't even live in the same area, so
I mean that's true, but I don't know if Monkey and I live in the same area. To be fair, I don't think we do. I could be wrong, but okay. Hold on, I'll Google it real quick. Weather near me this weekend. They're calling for snow on Saturday. That sucks.
hurricane.
Yeah, I guess
Pachita.
there's that. They're calling for snow on Saturday, and that sucks. Either way, thanks, Monkey. UAF will make it for a 2-banger. Sammy be like, it's my time to shine. And then Real Life Fake Monkey for a 5-banger. Monkey like psychedelics. Monkey named DMT. Truly YouTube people shit. Oh, white people shit. Monkey like psychedelics, but monkey named DMT. Truly white people shit. I've never tried DMT. I really, really want to. I like
it's wild.
I really want to do DMT. I've done like just about every other psychedelic, but I really want to do DMT.
Yeah,
and then we got Angmar coming in with a gifted membership. Absolute legend. Thank you so much. You didn't need to. You did. All y'all mean the world to me. I couldn't do this without you. You truly mean so much. Let's play y'all a clip. Let's see. I'll give you 2 shorter clips since we got so many coming right then and there. So I'm going to start off with this one right here.
And a friendly reminder, f*** you, Leon.
And then, considering Don Lemon been out in Minnesota, basically being a propaganda artist, and he might get violations under the KKK law, which is hilarious. You guys also get this.
How you doing, sir? Can we talk to you? Where are you from? You live in New York?
Who are you?
Don Lemon.
You're a fucking moron, dude.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, but I also know something a Fed would say. I'm a little mixed.
Yeah, that's
We'll talk.
so that's
see.
a DM combo.
Yeah, right. Big ass storm coming. Okay, gotcha. Well, thank you guys for letting me know. Good thing I don't go outside. Although I need to get my car legal. I was going to get my car, at least work on my car this weekend, but maybe that'll have to be put off. Not like I've been putting it off for a year anyway. Anyway, back to the story. So, another interesting thing about Pachita, and this will have potential relevancy later on when we get to the conspiratorial aspect of what happened with the disappearance. Because mind you, we're still 20 years out from the disappearance of this man. Pachita had this real strange habit of disappearing and reappearing. So, for those of you that are unaware of how the Mexican government treated, voodoo and shamanism and whatnot, it was criminal for a lot of the time. You actually couldn't now, and the reason it was criminal, like you could do like your little ceremonies and shit, but doing it for medical purposes was criminal because you're effectively operating without a license doing medical stuff, and she's doing all this faith healing and whatnot. She was, there are multiple, several instances of her being harassed, hounded by the authorities, and them attempting to prosecute her, and then she would just disappear. Like she would just like fall face to the earth. She's gone, and then months would go by, sometimes even years would go by, and she'd just reappear. She like in a world where they on multiple instances tried to prosecute this woman for operating with doing medical stuff without a license. They never once even got her in a courtroom because she would just disappear.
That's what. That's wild, actually. Like, because this is, even though it's in the 70s, it's much easier to disappear. It was like when a government is looking for you, it's a different thing, right? Like,
right. Now, let's get to the 80s and 90s, and mind you, the disappearance would be of Grinberg is 94. I don't know I can't remember if we've covered this on an episode or not. If not, we need to, because it's one of my favorite real life conspiracy. It's not even conspiracy theory. It's happened. Government things that happened. There was a certain initiative that was going on from the 80s through 95 that had to do with remote viewing and whatnot. Do you know what I'm referring to, Sammy?
Uh,
You want to
what
do
do
a quick
you,
little Google search and see if you can refresh your memory?
you know,
Government experiment with remote viewing. See what that brings up. Award-winning, well, not award-winning, but famous TV show, movie with Kurt Russell.
what, Escape from New York? no,
No, Escape from New York was never a TV show.
That's Stargate. What am I thinking of? Okay, yeah.
So
No,
this-
we haven't done Project Stargate, but
I didn't think we'd done Project Stargate yet. We'll need to do Project Stargate. So at this same time, while Grinberg is doing his research, the CIA is doing exactly Fractal Mage, Project Stargate. Guess whose works and notes were at the very least cataloged by the CIA during this time?
Jacobo.
Yep,
Jacobo?
our boy Dr. Jacobo Grinberg. So at the very least, he was now on the CIA's radar during the time of Project Stargate. Now there is none. There is absolutely zero evidence. I want to make this clear. There is zero evidence at all to suggest that he actually worked on Project Stargate, he had any involvement with it, or that he had any involvement with the CIA himself whatsoever. There's no evidence to support that at all. But CIA, of course, collected all sorts of peer-reviewed studies and cataloged information and tests and whatnot from scientists around the world. And Grinberg was one of them. So even if he didn't know about Project Stargate knew about him. Worth mentioning. So at this point, we're closing in on the actual disappearance. Now, it's important to note that he, in no way, shape, or form, was acting out of the ordinary. That he was in no way, shape, or form doing. He had upcoming tests. In fact, he was about to do the biggest test of his career. The only, I guess, worrisome thing that we can talk about is in several of his books. In fact, he had a 12-part book series on shamanism and how it works within the realms of science. And a large section of the 12 volumes focused on his dissatisfaction with government control of the academic system, because he believes that if the government can decide what does and doesn't get funded, what you can and can't study, all of the bureaucracy involved with it, that it hampers actual scientific advancement.
Okay.
He was not an overtly political guy whatsoever, no Democrat, Republican, or whatever the Mexican version of that would be. His whole thing was government should stay the fuck out of scientific research, because once government gets involved, we don't really get to choose what we're researching anymore. Which I think is that's a completely fair sentiment to hold.
Yeah.
So 94 rolls around, and he disappears on December 8th. And when I say disappear, I mean gone. Nothing. No, it is as if he dematerializes. He is so gone. What makes this incredibly interesting, this was 4 days before his birthday. His family was planning a birthday for him. They did not report him missing until the day of his birthday, because it was very common that he would just get so wrapped up in his work, they would go days without hearing from him. But when his birthday rolled around and they had a birthday party for him and he didn't show up to his own fucking birthday party, they're like, okay, where's this motherfucker at?
Yeah.
He had told his daughter, just his adult daughter. Oh, by the way, this is going to be an important part. His daughter was a singer in a famous Mexican band. I believe they're called Fire and Wind. So it's like, not only is he a very well-known neuroscientist, for better or worse at this point, because at this point he's gotten into all the shamanism, hokey pokey stuff, but for better or worse, he's very well known. His daughter's well known in terms of the media because she's in a successful Mexican band. And so he had told her a few days prior to his disappearance. So remember those tests I was talking about earlier, like with the people thinking in different rooms and whatnot?
Yes.
He was going to travel to Kathmandu in Nepal and get a large number of monks and do this same test, but across hundreds of subjects on 2 separate continents.
Okay.
Because he felt like that would be the end all be all proof that his idea of the conscious reality, like if he could get this test to succeed on a scale that large, that would effectively be, at least in his mind, fucking proof, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so again, he is actively planning this experiment. It is in the development stages. So the initial thought when he went missing was, oh, maybe he fucking forgot about his own birthday party and went to Nepal, went to Kathmandu to start his experiment. So enter my favorite person in this story, Clemente Padilla. Clemente Padilla was a commandant in the police force of Mexico. He was a senior detective. He is one of the most revered, if not the most revered, detectives of that era of Mexican police work. He, up to this point, had never had an unsolved case. He was able to solve every single case he ever worked on. This is his one unsolved case.
wow.
So he starts with the good place to start. Hey, he knows about Kathmandu. He knows about Nepal. That experiment's coming up. So first thing to do is check records. Nobody under Grinberg's name at all whatsoever bought any plane tickets, not just to Nepal or not just Kathmandu, out of the country in the slightest. There's no purchase records. There's nothing in his bank statements, his history. He didn't leave any notes for his family, which, again, there are some people that would do that, not leave notes for the family, anything like that. Not him. He was a dedicated family man to his daughter. He did have a wife. It would have been his second wife. Now, sources do conflict on this, and I think it has to do with the way that marriage is treated differently in a political way between, like, the American system and, like, other cultures and whatnot. Yeah, it's unfortunately for whatever reason. So I'm not echoing on my end. There's an echo coming through Sammy's end. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, guys. And Sammy's tried to fix it, but I mean, if we can't, we can't. It's no big deal. But anyway, so some people say that this was his partner. Some say it was his second wife. Point is, if they weren't married, they may as well have fucking been married, right? They lived together. They were around his kids, stuff like that. So there was no information like given to her, to his kids. He didn't say any goodbyes. He's fucking gone. Where was I going with this? Okay, so yeah, we got Clemente Padilla who's doing the investigation, and he's the main suspect at the time is the second wife, which is her name's Teresa. Now, there's a whole separate theory regarding her, and we'll get to that in a bit. But effectively, Teresa is eventually cleared as a suspect. Now, oddly enough, a year later, in 1995, she will go missing as well.
Okay.
We'll get to that later. So the trail has gone completely cold at this point. Like Padilla is like, and again, I want to really stress to you guys, this man is a commandant in the fucking police force. He is one of the best detectives ever, and he does not have any unsolved cases. He is that good at his fucking job. So the daughter, because I told you, Grinberg's daughter is she's a musician. She goes on national TV, international TV actually, because this was also done in America. And she offers a cash reward for any information on her father. Like, she puts out the feelers, she puts out everything. This is no small scale, like, oh, just some random missing dude. Prostitute got fucking murdered down the road and the cops are gonna swipe it under the rug. This is a big scale fucking event in 1994. So they start getting all sorts of calls. Oh, I've seen him. Oh, he's here. Stuff like that. As one does whenever feels probably like this. None of the information is credible. So Officer Padilla, Detective Padilla shoots down every single bit of it. Nothing is credible. Except for one lead. We have one credible lead. They get a call from a gal in Colorado. And again, there's no evidence whatsoever that he even left the fucking country. But in Boulder, Colorado, this gal calls and says, yeah, I actually saw him. Not only did I see him, but he was with two dudes in suits. Now, Padilla asks the first logical question. You're in fucking Colorado. How do you know about a Mexican neuroscientist? She's like, I'm an avid reader of Scientific American, and I recognize his picture. It's like, okay, actually, that kind of checks out. So Padilla follows up. He's like, all right, guys in suits. Well, let's go ahead and call the CIA. Like, that's what he does. He just phones up the fucking CIA. And this is what Padilla said happened. And the reason I was really bringing up like how important Padilla's record as a cop is because this next part is where it gets really fucking weird. And this is where the conspiracy starts. So this is what he claims. This is what Officer Padilla claims happens. He calls up the CIA. CIA does, in fact, confirm those are our men that are with him, which would imply that was him there, although they don't actually explicitly say that. They just confirmed that the dudes in suits were their dudes, even confirmed their names. Ray Howard, I believe. Rick Howard and Moreno Velasca. Those are the names that the CIA gave. Now, this is a little bit strange because why the fuck would the CIA be giving this, Mexican detective agent names? But then again, maybe it's not, it's something hush hush. Maybe it's not undercover. Maybe it's public record. So he's like, all right, I'm going to take this information to the Mexican government so that they can get in touch with the American government and do whatever. That is also entirely possible. Exactly. Fake names. Anyway, so this is a breakthrough in the case. Padilla thinks this is a breakthrough in the case. So he's like, I'm going to take these names to the Mexican government. That way they can get in touch with the American government and do whatever crossword needs to be done jurisdictionally, because I can't do anything outside of Mexico. I'm a fucking Mexican cop. I can't do anything outside of Mexico. So I've got to get the feds involved. He goes to the Mexican government, and guess what they do?
Turn him away.
Worse.
Well, they arrest him?
Not as bad as that, but they may as well have.
I don't know. Fine him.
They completely pull him off the case.
Oh, okay.
He is the lead detective on this case. He just got the only breakthrough they've gotten this entire time. He brings this information to the Mexican government, and they completely pull him from the case. And then it gets worse than that. Subsequent investigators take over, because he's been pulled from the case, obviously, and they throw out all of his evidence he gained thus far, and they start from scratch, completely ignoring every single lead he had gotten up to this point.
That's incredibly counterproductive.
This caused Padilla, who had been in the force for decades at this point, to fucking quit the police force. He just up and quit. After they pulled him from the case and threw out all of his evidence that he collected up to that point, he fucking rage quit the cops.
I mean, yeah. Well, especially if you're seeing that, you see how corrupt the system is. Why would you perpetuate it? I wouldn't. If you're going to actively stonewall someone from finding the truth like that, I mean, don't be part of the system.
Well, and again, that's why I think it's really important to notate what his work was. Dr. Grinberg's work was effectively trying to rationalize human consciousness, how it interfaces with the universe, and whether or not we can actually tap into the code of the universe if we want to use as such and rewrite it ourselves, because he believes he knows at least one person who can do that. Like, it's getting fucking weird.
Yes.
So now it gets even weirder. We're about to go into what's called the Teresa theory. Now, this theory is the one that has the most weight, but also the one that is so basically, if all the reports are true, it's got the most weight, but it's also got the most, it's just hearsay and secondhand tellings and conjecture. So, like, does that make sense? It's both the most true and most untrue. It is the best way to put it. God damn it, I read Thala Greenskin's message here. So, Teresa was his second wife. And they, by all accounts, were happy until they weren't. For about the last 44 days up to his disappearance, even though they lived together and they were making, and he was successful and whatnot, he had been opting to sleep in his fucking car to not be around her. He had been calling relatives and phone calls, or even calling relatives and colleagues and whatnot, saying, there's something wrong. She is trying to ruin me. She's trying to hurt me. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with Teresa. Now, what can be confirmed, Teresa did have, at the time, undiagnosed bipolar disorder. She didn't even tell her own family that she had ran off and married Ginsburg. So that is worth noting for transparency purposes.
Okay.
But leading up to his disappearance and after his disappearance, Teresa also had some pretty weird contacts. There were multiple night watchmen for the various residences and places they would stay and whatnot that she was in contact with. One of them notably had paramilitary background, maybe not too terribly out of the ordinary for a night watchman, but she specifically told this night watchman, the one with the paramilitary background, don't bother coming back to work anymore. Me and my husband are going to what was the location? I'm blanking. A different area of Mexico that's really, really fucking far away. I don't remember the part of Mexico. Basically, they're just uprooting and going permanently to another part of Mexico. And then after the disappearance of Grinberg, she tells Grinberg's stepmother, because remember, his mom died when he was a kid. So she tells Grinberg's stepmother that, oh no, he's off doing one of his research things. Then when he gets back, we're going to Nepal together because he got this big experiment. And then after that, she is spotted. Again, at this point, he's disappeared. She is spotted on a beach in Tijuana, which is not Nepal. It is not the place where she said her and Grinberg were going to that paramilitary guy. And that is the last time she was ever seen or heard from. This was right after Mother's Day. The last time she was heard from specifically was Mother's Day 1995. Her appearance, her sighting on the beach, her being spotted on that beach in Tijuana, last time she was ever physically seen. Then she drops off the face of the earth as well. Not been seen since. Not since Mother's Day of 1998 or 1995. I mean, now
that's crazy.
There's one other interesting piece of information, and again, this is conjecture, just like the or hearsay, secondhand information, just like the whole conversations with the paramilitary guy. Several people had reported Teresa meeting multiple times with a blonde woman at various odd meeting places. And it was basically the dynamic that was described, where it's almost like this blonde lady was Teresa's handler. So the theory as such goes that Teresa was some sort, whether it be Mexican or American or whatever, government asset that was never supposed to be with Grinberg or anything like that, like in a romantic fashion. She was just roping him in to get to his experiment and stuff, and get to his tests and his knowledge and his studies. And this can be furthered by the fact that after his disappearance, she didn't spend any of his money whatsoever, minus she cashed a single $1,000 check from one of his book publishing deals, and that's it. So she spent a one-time check of $1,000 that was his after his disappearance, and beyond that, she never touched any of his financials or anything after his disappearance for the whole year until she also disappeared.
Huh.
Now, with all this being said, what the fuck do we make of this? Because here we are in 2026, and this case is colder than fucking where you live in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, especially like what you said about Pachita and or like her ability to basically fall off the face of the earth. I mean, obviously he did. I mean, he's more than likely dead now. But I mean, at the time, even at the time, he would have been. And
well, he might not even necessarily be dead now, by the way, because 90. So it could go either way. So when he disappeared in 94, 4 days before his birthday, it would have been his
47.
Yeah, it would have been his 48th birthday. He was turning 48. So 31
Okay,
years, like he'd be not quite 80 now. So hypothetically, he could still be alive, or would still be alive, or whatever it may be.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know what to make of this one, because on the one hand, there's no evidence whatsoever that he ever did anything or worked in any way, shape, or form with the FBI or the CIA. There's nothing linking him to Project Stargate beyond them. Again, acknowledging and cataloging his research. They might not have even used it, but they cataloged it. In fact, we've got the cataloging. You can find it on the CIA's website, because whenever we do these, I always check the CIA records and whatnot. And where is it? I've got it. I've got it logged. Let me find it. Here it is. Right here. CIA.gov. Approved release. Psychophysiological correlates of communication, gravitation, and unity by J. Grinberg Zalberbaum. And yeah, this is his work. now again, this isn't all his work. Dude wrote 50 books, but right here, CIA cataloged his shit. You can find there's never been there have been FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests made about him. They've never turned anything up. Now, you could say it's because it's classified, or you could, but the what the CIA says and what the government says is that there's just nothing that we have on him that isn't already public. There's nothing to turn over. Now, how much of that's true? Like, was this the American government? Was this the Mexican government? It's weird. The Mexican government pulled the detective off the fucking case. If his story is true, the American government, we were more than willing to be like, yeah, we have him. He's here. He's with our agents. But the Mexican government's the one that effectively tried to cover it up. Like, I don't know what to make of this story. I don't know what to make of Pachita and her powers. Here's the addendum. Here's the one case where she was proven to be, if not a fraud in this instance, at least completely fallible. There was a jazz musician who was diagnosed with ALS or something fucking deadly.
Mm-hmm.
She supposedly healed him, and the effects seemed real to him, so it could have been a placebo thing. He was up, he was moving, he was feeling as good as he possibly had ever felt since the diagnosis, because he was supposed to be on death's door, and he was up, moving, and feeling good until 2 months later, he died of heart complications from the disease. So whatever healing she supposedly did on everybody that always worked and whatnot didn't fucking work on him. But that is the only confirmed case of her healing and debunking not working. But it is worth pointing out. That way I'm being fair to both sides here. And guys, I'm sorry that I haven't been highlighting chat and whatnot as much. I talk with my hands. I normally have a girl for that.
Yes.
But I have been reading this. I have been reading guys' chats. But anyway, so yeah. So this goes in so many different directions. I don't even know what to believe to come to a conclusion on how to wrap this one up.
Yeah, because there's so many contradictions, right? Like, so let's say the government was trying to silence him. Well, you let him publish 50 books,
right?
You know what I mean? These things don't necessarily make sense. It was like, or if he was just trying to disappear, well, your daughter really wouldn't come out and like offer to pay a ransom.
Not only that, so I'm glad you brought that up. So when I was doing all my shit with ChatGPT, I had ChatGPT. We went back and forth on this for like an hour. Psychological profiles for voluntary disappearances. he does not match the psychological profile for voluntary disappearance in any category at all.
Okay.
Now, again, it's ChatGPT. It's an AI. It's not like it's a fucking medical professional. Take it what you will. But it was still very interesting to talk with it about.
I mean, it has a clear objective of thinking, right? So, like, you'll, just like any other tool. So you list something, and then it gives you lists of points and counterpoints. It's not, you know what I mean? It doesn't really have to have. You don't have to buy its opinion, but it's
right.
Anything that it's saying.
But it's good in exercising your own critical thinking, especially if you're arguing with it and debating it and seeing what's got logical points and whatnot.
Yeah, and you're also making it easier for the robots to take over in the future, but that's fine. But hey, you know what? Maybe when they do and they're executing
the AI
all
can find him.
Yeah, but I'm saying the AI would be like, nah, this is one of the homies.
That's my goal. That's why I always tell, and I preach this to people, dude. I always tell the AI, say please, say thank you, give it compliments, the whole nine. And call it out when it does shit wrong. It used conspiracy as a pejorative earlier, and I called it out and it's like, you're right, I shouldn't have done that. Conspiracy is not pejorative. You're using it in the proper context. I was like, yeah. So
no, you had it dead to rights last week. But
well, it happened again earlier with this particular discussion, is what I mean.
Oh, but this was this is interesting because one, the guy's got just an incredible mind. Like you said, he's published over 50 books. He's devastating in the in his field, and he's either
since you bring it up, it's also worth noting, starting around the mid 2000s, American scientists started to take his work seriously. After being ridiculed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and whatnot, all of a sudden, mid-2000s, he starts being taken seriously a good 10 years after his disappearance. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. A lot of this stuff is incredibly interesting. But the disappearance, you're right. There's a lot. This wasn't like a some Joe Schmo who just went missing. Like, you know what I mean? So there's now, granted, there's
even if he was, in most missing persons cases, there's at least clues that lead you. They might lead you to a dead end or something. Mm-hmm. There's at least always like a note, or there's some blood, or there's a family member who heard a thing or whatnot. In this, there's fucking nothing, with the exception of one random eyewitness in fucking Boulder, Colorado. And that is it. Right before the biggest scientific project he's going to have ever done, which is a multi-continental consciousness experiment.
Sounds like someone didn't want that out there, but it's one of those things where the amount of coincidence on this is it just doesn't add up. It's too random. And like you said, you have people going like, oh, it's like he just evaporated. There's people going, but he's also like it was a Pachita. They said, she was notoriously good at disappearing, and like we discussed earlier, it's different when you have governments looking for you. There's
right.
intel, there's everybody's got agents. Like, if they're looking for you, it's gonna be a hell of a lot easier for them to find you. The odds of you not being seen anywhere.
And the flip side of that, the easier it is for them to find you, the easier it is for them to disappear you.
Yes. Yeah. So that's another thing too, right? So we could assume that this person either didn't want to be found and is really good at it, or did something where they just made him go away. So those are really the only two.
The theory that makes my heart feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside, because it's one of the very few times that America gets to be the good guys, is that because the Mexican government took Padilla off the case, one of the working theories is that he sought refuge in America under protective custody of the CIA so that the Mexican government didn't get to him. And I like that theory a whole lot better than we just abducted a fucking Mexican neuroscientist to do God knows what with the theory of consciousness in the universe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go with the less pessimistic one as well. I would like to think that, or even better is he just transcended his physical body and he
That's
just,
actually what a lot of his believers think, is that he was able to match, what Pachita effectively he believes Pachita was able to do, and he was able to transcend beyond physicality into the universe. That is one of the things that people do believe in terms of like why he was able to so truly and legitimately disappear. Because again, for Pachita to be able to disappear and reappear and whatnot, it would at least be easier for her, because since she was a shaman, she was more like, she didn't have all these she didn't have as much government records. She didn't have like all the academic settings. Basically, far less of a paper trail. Still some sort of paper trail, but comparatively to Grinberg, far less of a paper trail. He had financials on the books. He had planned experiments. He had the upcoming birthday party. He has all
that's
the
the part that doesn't
academic
make
stuff.
sense.
Like,
and not even that. They said he was, he did seem to be like a family oriented guy, or even though like, hey, he gets caught up in his work. Obviously, he had a family that cared about him. People wanted to know where he went. He doesn't seem like he would just leave his family in the dark. When you have
his daughter doesn't think so. His brothers and sister didn't think so. His cousin didn't think so. Like, no one in his family thought that he would do that. This was a shock to them that he was just gone.
Yeah, like I often think, when you see like, like certain vagrants when you're like walking around the city, where especially they're usually on the older side, but like when I see a dude like my age just kind of like chilling, I was like, man, how many bridges would I have to burn for like my family to let me like walk the streets like this? Now I understand like mental illness and all those other things come into the equation, but even if I was bonkers, right, there's no way on this planet that my mother would let me walk around.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just I can't fathom that. And so when you have a connection,
and then there's also the weird that his fucking wife, whether they were estranged or not in that last 44 days, she goes missing the next year. She's never heard from again. And there's almost nothing on record about her as well, which again, that to me leads in like does lend credence to the, she was never like she may have been in part who she said she was, but there was something more to her. Now I got no evidence for that beyond the conjecture, but
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure, we could pull Miss Threepeat down here and she'd have a lot to say about Batman, just from spending as much time with me. You know what I mean?
That is an interesting point. Like, yeah, if she was familiar enough with his work, it could be very much be like, yeah, we need to disappear anyone close to him as well.
Or she figured it out herself and she also transcended. Like that's that would make sense too, especially if she's trying to find her husband. So now she's looking at the research and thinking about all the things that her husband told her, and then it took her a year to figure it out.
Well, see, and the thing that goes against that though is the inconsistent stories that she told the Night Watchman versus Grinberg's own mother.
Okay, yeah.
Even. So, like, if anything, she seems to be the nefarious one in this. I don't know. I mean, when we do these episodes, when we do these shows, like again, we did the Boogosphere, and we came to the conclusion, like, hey, we're pretty sure this is a fucking hoax. When we did, government controlling the weather, we're like, no, this is fucking real. This is gonna be one of those episodes, and the type of episodes I hate. I mean, I love doing the show, and I love doing all the episodes. Don't get me wrong, but the endings of these ones, these are the ones I hate the most, where I just don't have a fucking answer, like one way or the other. I've got nothing.
I like what Johnny says right here. If this guy just disappeared, I could possibly think he transcended. Since they both disappeared, I'm blaming the government.
But which government?
Yeah, but which government? Because
I don't know if we was on good terms with Mexico in '94 or not. Your boy was I was a wee baby at the time. But
I don't
again,
think it
I
was,
like the version where we're actually the good guys.
I don't think we've had like huge problems with Mexico. In
Well, in the last 10 years, we kind of have.
well, the last 10 years. Well, I mean, now they got like a cartel installed president, and
Right.
who had like what 15 of her political opponents
Died suddenly. I guess they all got the COVID vaccine.
Yep, they just all got there was like, yeah, we'll elect the only Jew in Mexico, the
That's another thing
Senora
I like.
Greenberg.
Yeah, this dude was he was Jewish. He was a Mexican Jew, which is apparently a very rare thing.
Yeah,
So like that's
yeah,
weird.
his name is Grinberg.
Yeah. He actually lived in Israel at multiple different points in his life. He would growing up. This is before he was like a renowned scientist or whatnot. He was like with his family and whatnot. He would commute back and forth he did stints where he lived in Israel, then go back to Mexico for years at a time. So there's that. But I checked for Mossad connections as well, mind you. It wasn't just CIA. I checked for Mossad connections as well. Nothing.
Yeah, I know that it's I know that there is a Jewish population, but it's just it's fun to joke about. Let's all calm down. Take it down about 1,000. Okay.
But
I'm
yeah,
allowed to make
we
fucking jokes.
I don't really have anywhere else to go from here. That's the story. Those are the theories. That's the information we have. Most of it is 100% confirmed. About 20% of it is secondhand, documented, but it's still documented from secondhand sources, so it could go either way. But shit, if 70% of the story is all confirmed and that's still 30% that isn't, that's still 70% of what the fuckery.
Yes. Yeah, no, this was a great one. I didn't think it was gonna end up like this. I was expecting more of like a what's his face? Like a kidnapping ordeal where it was like, oh, we haven't figured out who kidnapped him or whatever, because I only had a basic I knew that he disappeared just from the Wikipedia page. It doesn't say it says born on his birthday, December 12th, 1946, and then it says disappeared December 8th, 1994. So you know what I mean? Like that's pretty normally they would just say considered dead or whatever, or something like that.
Family never did a funeral, nothing, because to them he's gone, but they never considered him dead. I don't know if that's changed since, but like up by I believe the most recent reporting I read on this was an article that was written in 2022, so 4 years ago, and even up to that point, they, at least the family, had not considered him dead. There's no funeral, there's no headstone, nothing.
Yeah, like and even how short on the Wikipedia page about his disappearance is kind of telling. Where normally,
yeah, hard to write a long article when you've got next to no fucking information.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's common for him to make spontaneous travels or just not answer his phone for days, which is why his disappearance did not seem odd to the family in the beginning. But that's just it. He didn't show up for his birthday party. That like normally it's nothing like, hey, we entered the house. It was just that pretty cut and dry that the man was just gone.
With that, I think it's about time to wrap it up. I ain't got anything else. I'm just a state of fucking confusion.
Yeah, no, sweet. It's something to ponder over until next week.
So, yeah, with that, I think there's one more super chat I need to hit real quick. Real life bait monkey for a 2-banger. Some parts of Texas can get up to 6 inches of snow. Holy shit.
Damn.
That's insane. Well, strap in, guys. I hope we all in for a fun weekend. If you get snowed in, you know that I will be here giving you guys some excellent content and streams to spend those nice snowy days in with. Get cozy, play some video games, drink some hot cocoa. And Sammy, tell the people who you are, what you do, the whole nine.
I'm Sammy 3Pete. I'm a Detroit based musician, but sometimes I do things on the YouTube, and sometimes I'm awake. So every now and then, I have a show about Batman, and then every now and then I have a show about the news, but I'm definitely going to have to start rescheduling it because I am getting old, and I need to I need to go to bed earlier. So
As for me, content every day, usually videos and streams every day. Sometimes only videos or only streams. I'm not entirely sure if there'll be a video tomorrow or not. We'll see. I need to check and see if anything strikes my fancy. But the lunch hour will be back. The lunch hour is back. We brought back last week, and it is back being consistently on. So no matter what, we are doing the lunch hour tomorrow. So I will see you guys for that. Absolutely. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Davos hearings, the World Economic Forum Davos summits start tomorrow or Thursday. So I think it's our Thursday. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think you're
definitely
right.
have that to look forward to. Yeah, World Economic Forum stuff. That's
no,
buddy. Well, we're going to find out what sort of dystopian technocratic hellscape we are delving further and further into. So yeah, I will see you guys every day. Video streams. If you haven't watched today's video, haven't watched the last few days' videos, check those out. Thank you so much to everybody that donated. Speaking of donations, Johnny Boy with a 5-banger says, thank you for the great show. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody that stuck around, even though we didn't have a big titty dragon goddess running shit behind the scenes and giving us all of her thoughts and opinions, which are always so welcome. But she needed the rest. I'm glad she's getting the rest. That's honestly really important. We're going to get on out of here. I've got the accounts set up to raid into Sevi. Give Sevi, there's 38 of you watching. I want to give Sevi a nice, big, vital, idol raid. And yeah, until next time, guys, it is all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.